Hey, good morning and welcome to the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to be with you again. So let's get to some of the new headlines since I've been on the air this morning. Generally, what I do during the fourth hour is I try to look for stories that have broken during the time I've been on the air. So I get a little bit of break here between 9 and 9:30 so I can check and see what's going on out there and see what else I might be able to bring you. So let's see what's going on. The story revolving, and the story is still trending about Donald Trump at Arlington National Cemetery and what was going on. And there were reports then about this ceremony and the altercation that took place between a couple of Donald Trump's um, um, forgive me. Today, I don't know why today I'm having just an incredibly tough day today. Um, but these were part of Trump's team. And there was this altercation with staffer from Arlington National Cemetery. And what happened, it was over a photographer. Well, the post millennials got a story this morning. And now we've got Gold Star family members that are weighing in on what it is that happened. Um, Again, Arlington Cemetery said, well, the Gold Star family members didn't want any photographs. They didn't want any video taken, any of this, that kind of thing. It turns out that's just not true. What's been reported has not been true. And of course, NPR was the first one to run with that story, and a number of other media sources then picked it up. So Gerald Jules, who was the aunt of Sergeant Nicole Gee, disputed the reporting from NPR. Jules said that Arlington had agreed to allow Trump's designated media team to take the photos and said, we wanted to have a recording of this. And we definitely agreed to have Arlington photographers and videographers there. We also agreed if Trump had his own people there, we agreed to that as well. Darren Hoover, the father of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, also said that they invited Trump's media there. And when Arlington officials originally talked to him and others, that they had requested Trump's team be the ones to take photographs at Section 60. It's a certain part of Arlington. Section 60. Hoover said that there were all out blatant lies coming from within NPR about the whole event. We're the ones that invited Trump. He didn't invite himself. We're the ones that invited him, they're saying. So you've got now the rest, these families speaking up and giving the rest of the story, to coin a phrase from Paul Harvey, as to what actually happened, not at all what was reported by NPR. Oh, wow, that's a shock. That's a shock that we've got media that's not reporting accurately, fairly, correctly. I don't know whether NPR has corrected that story yet or not, but the Post Millennial has. You can find more details on that story there. And I want to let you know that with the streaming software that I'm using, that if you post a comment, I can see it immediately. So I will, in fact, I want to increase the size of my screen here just a little bit. Yes, there we go. To make it easier to see your comments as you stream or as you make them. So by all means, feel free. I love hearing from you. It's just like when I'm on the air in the morning. I love hearing your phone calls. And when we're doing this, I love seeing your thoughts on the stream. And I will post those. That's a beauty of StreamYard. Okay, also, there's a story this morning. Fox News Radio picked up on this story. I heard it in the 9 a.m. news, the national news that Fox News Channel, or Fox News Radio rather, had done. It's a story from Axios And the reporting from Axios is the good vibes of Vice President Kamala Harris' campaign is masking tensions among competing factions as Harris loyalists and Obama alumni are grafted onto what had been President Biden's campaign. So what's happening is Axios says why it matters. New people are making the campaign or remaking the campaign on the fly. The result is a large and at times unwieldy team with internal worries about cohesiveness when inevitable stumbles arise, according to 6 people in the Kamala Harris campaign. Biden's campaign was much more closed, that you had a few long-serving aides of Joe Biden's who were making the decision. Not the case. And they with the campaign of Kamala Harris, and Axios says the Harris campaign has become a diffuse Frankenstein team with multiple power centers, because you've got some members of the Biden campaign there. You got Kamala Harris team. You've got Barack Obama and some of those people, and they're all kind of struggling. I think it's a power struggle, honestly, is what I think is going on within the campaign. It's a power struggle within the campaign. And so Axios says that Kamala Harris team has been very wary of making the Biden people feel like they're being pushed aside. Don't want them feeling that way, because they're all one big, inclusive family. So they don't want the Biden people being pushed aside. What it boils down to is who's in charge. Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's anybody's guess. You can find more reporting on that this morning at Axios. Oh, David, I love David's comment here. So we talk about NPR. Yeah, absolutely right, David. National Propagandist Radio. Steve, journalists that can't hack it in the state media end up at NPR. See also Judy Woodruff. No kidding. What a... Not surprised that the lies are thick and blatant with the organization. Our tax dollars hard at work. Yeah, absolutely right. I love hearing from you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Tell your friends, hit the like button. I know you guys are. Please hit the like button, subscribe. Got like-minded friends? Bring them along. I would love to have as many folks on board as possible. So thank you so much. Other stories I wanted to share. Joe Biden, of course, is on vacation now for a second week. Remember, Joe Biden told us when he stepped down, no longer running for president for another term, but more work to do. There's more work to do, and he was going to get right at it right after this vacation, which has now become an extended vacation. Now he's on vacation for a second week. And this is a story at the Washington Examiner. People on social media are asking, who is running our country? Several social media users asked yesterday, reacting to video and photos of Biden on the beach. And one journalist who said Biden is now lounging on the beach during his second straight week. Have you noticed how people have started using capital letters more? Remember how Donald Trump used to be ridiculed for his use of capital letters? You remember that? Those of you, I think, especially who were part of that and watching Trump closely, he would use these capital letters. And now everybody does it. Everybody does it. So this is a journalist who said Biden now lounging on the beach during his capital letters second straight week of vacations. This is absurd. Also in capital letters, James Rosen He's a correspondent at Newsmax. He pressed John Kirby yesterday about the leadership of the country while the president's away. And John Kirby, who is such a, of the National Security Advisor, John Kirby, this guy is an absolute. I'm not saying anything because I'm afraid what word I'll use to describe him. So Rosen asked Kirby, he said, the question I'm hearing from the general public, which I put to you here, Admiral, is who is running the country? President Joe Biden. And so Rosen said, is he a ceremonial figure in some sense at this point? And he said, James, you know better than that. I mean, my goodness, he talked to Prime Minister Modi today. He had calls with leaders in the region and in Europe with President Zelensky last week. Did he do that from the beach? That would be my question. Did he do that from the beach? Or what, did he, bother himself to go inside to make those phone calls? Or was he, and have you seen the photos of him on the beach? Here's the thing. I don't want you to see photos of me in shorts, and I wear shorts only around the house. I don't wear them out in public, and the reason is because I look like Joe Biden. Joe Biden, he's wearing his summer shirt and shorts, and I'm like, man, these chicken legs that are just incredible. So he's hard at work, is he? Mr. Kirby, he's hard at work. He's hard at it in his second straight week on the beach. But seriously, the most serious aspect of this is who in the hell is running the country? Who is running the country? You're taking an extended vacation. Come on. Well, he's having all these conversations with these people. So you say. It's hard to believe whether it's actually the president or, I really do not have any kind of faith in this administration right now. And again, he at the Democrat National Convention, he said how he was going to go back to work. And these are the things that we've got 4 months left. And here are the things that we're going to get done. And I'm going back to work. And what's the first thing he does? He goes on vacation. And now another week of vacation. I just wonder, how in the world do people not see this, or, the reaction to this, that this guy is literally, he is not doing the job. That's become very evident. So who is? Don't you ask yourself that question? Comes to my mind, I think, often, as we take a look at what's going on. What's Steve saying here? If I could do my job from the beach, don't you doubt that I would? Want to throw shade at an old man for eating ice cream on the beach, considering he was never actually in charge anyway. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, and I wish he had not brought up the image of him eating ice cream. It's just something really kind of distasteful. I think he's kind of set me off ever wanting to have ice cream again after watching the way he goes after them. Okay, but I'm digressing. Substance. Sorry. See, this is what happens when I the thoughts that go through my mind. There were some other stories that I had that I didn't share on the air this morning. I'll share with you this morning. Jim Jordan has subpoenaed the company of Juan Merchan's daughter. Do you remember Judge Juan Merchan in the Donald Trump hush money case, and the judge's daughter and the work that she's doing for Democrat Party and all of that. And somehow the daughter of Juan Merchan would never really was brought into never became an issue for the legacy media, for the state media. They didn't care. They were after Donald Trump. They were happy to see what was going on. So they have subpoenaed the company that employs the daughter of Judge Merchan. And I'm trying to see, he has asked the CEO of that company, Mike Nellis, to sit for a deposition and sign a sworn affidavit that the company never communicated with Judge Merchan. Nellis has previously mocked Jim Jordan, calling it absurd to suggest that his company would have any dealings with an employee's parent, while noting that the firm does not perform services for the campaigns out of either President Biden or Vice President Harris, and its political work that has no connection to the Donald Trump hush money case. They're Democrats. I mean, and I seriously. So with respect to Mr. Nellis here, you want to seriously, I would love to believe, I would love to believe that that's the case. Oh, they're indignant. Oh man, we're not, we employ the daughter of the judge, but we don't engage with the parents of our employees. Yeah, but your other employees' fathers are not sitting over, they're not presiding over hush money trials against Donald Trump. So I don't think all employees are equal in that situation, right? So I don't buy the outrage that they're, regarding this. And given what's going on in events as they transpire today, a media that's absolutely AWOL, and when they are reporting, it's propaganda most of the time. So folks not believing what they're hearing necessarily, these are just really, I think, problematic times that we live in, that folks cannot be trusted to go out there, and some can, but an increasing number of folks who just cannot be trusted. And so the idea that Jim Jordan wants to talk to this guy, is it, again, is it the best use of his time? I don't know. I think Jim Jordan's an intelligent guy. So personally, every time I've seen him, every time I've heard him, whether he's on Fox News Channel or I see him, I'm watching committee testimony, hearing him as the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, so on. Incredibly intelligent guy. He strikes me as. So I don't think this is something that's laughable. The fact that they want to hear that, no, we actually want assurances that people in your company are not talking to Judge Merchan, that this is not some kind of coordinated effort, because this is how we've seen a lot of these things, unfortunately, have worked previously. There was another story that I had in my stack of stuff today that I didn't have time to share during the radio show, and that is, have you seen, this is from foxnews.com, video of this armed gang in Colorado, at a Colorado apartment building. Have you seen this? You may have seen this over the course of the last 24 hours, because Katie actually hit me, my partner Katie hit me with this yesterday. She said, she was kind of shocked by it. And she asked me, and God bless her, she's just great, do you want me to send this to you? And I said, no, it'll likely be trending tomorrow, which it was. It was trending this morning. So this is a story from Fox News. And it's it looks like gang activity that was caught on a surveillance camera in this Colorado apartment building. And one former resident has said there's no accountability going on here. So the video then shows these men armed with handguns, one with a scoped rifle, bursting through the door of the apartment complex for reasons that are not clear at all. Um, and the group appears to be a transnational gang based out of Venezuela called TDA. And the gang has about 5,000 members. They have a motto of real until death. And so these gang members are linked, or excuse me, TDA has been linked with over 100 crimes across the country, according to the New York Post. This is happening in Aurora, Colorado. And an Aurora City Councilwoman talked to Fox News exclusively. She said, without a doubt, there is sex trafficking that's now going on in relationship to TDA's activities in the city. And she said, this is organized. They patrol the property with guns visibly, like they're not trying to hide them. There's no repercussion. These are ghosts, said one resident talking about it. So you've got a woman, and the way this has really kind of come to light, a woman who lives in this apartment building and had been trying to get the hell out of there. This is what's going on in the apartment building. So she's trying to get out of there, and she credits Fox News with helping her move out because she said through the help of Fox News, actually, they connected us with the councilwoman from Aurora. Danielle Jurinsky is her name. And it was Jurinsky who pulled all together all the resources to get us some help and get us out of there, she says. And then Denver police told Fox they were not aware of any apartment takeovers by this. And man, Colorado is one of those states, seriously. You just think, again, places that you would want to live. This is what's going on. You've got this apartment building essentially is taken over as what these people who live there, that's what they're saying. They live there. They're trying to get out of there, looking for resources so they can get out of there. They're openly carrying guns and again, I'm a proponent of open carry, but in situations like that, with multiple people who known gang members associated with these Venezuelan gangs, and that's what's going on. And one of the reasons that I bring this to you is this is the aftermath of what Joe Biden has done. This is situation is largely because of what he has done. He's opened up the border and just essentially letting people to come in, allowing them to come in and show up 5 years from now. And, with your court date, we'll see you in 5 years, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, just absolutely incredible. In the meantime, that's what we're seeing. It's what's going on right now in Aurora, Colorado. So I'm not saying that's going on everywhere in Aurora, but at this particular apartment complex, it's actually pretty disturbing. And if you've seen some of the video and the reporting on this, Fox News has the story, foxnews.com. You'll find it on their website, but it's really kind of startling. Trying to see if any other comments that you guys have made that I wanted to share. I think that's it for today. That's all I've got. I'm going to ask you again, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Tell your friends, you got like-minded friends. Let them know about what we're doing. I think have to continue to try to grow the team here. You know what I mean? And not only, I was talking about this a little bit on the air this morning about this student with the American flag in his pickup truck that he showed up at his school with the truck. And he was saying that, it's hard to believe that they would actually, he was talking about his First Amendment rights. And, you know, he was kind of hard to believe that this would happen. Unfortunately, it's not hard to believe at all. There are people who will stomp all over your rights, especially your right to freedom of speech. And again, I'm not trying to make it sound to you like I'm opposed to government. I'm not at all. I'm not opposed to government. I understand the need for government, but I also understand the need for government to be responsive. And I also understand that there are people in the government that would love to just strong arm you into a number of things. You know, they would. And so what we see happening nationally, you think, wow, that can't happen here. That can't happen locally, but I think you see it in some of the issues that we have just going on just in South Dakota. Some of the statewide issues and some of the things that now are winding up on the ballot that you're expected to go vote on. The I think there are. I also think that there are people that would love to put, you know, their plans in place, and I don't mean that in any sinister kind of way. When I say their plans, I'm not saying, um, but they will take authority often that they do not have. People do that. And sometimes some folks, you got to remind them and they take a step back. Others who they're just going to stop. And this is the thing about freedom that I've learned. And I would say this is not something that I've known my entire life. I think events, especially over the last few years, have demonstrated to me you have got to fight for your freedom, and you have got to fight for your freedom every damn day. You've got to do it every day, and you cannot relent. You just cannot. You have got to fight for your freedom, and you have got to fight for the things that you believe in. And one of the things that I've been really encouraged, and I said this on the air earlier this week, Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, all endorsing Trump. And because they see freedoms just being ground into the dirt under the heels of the Democrat Party. And unfortunately, a growing number of Republicans who would do the same damn thing. There are too many rhinos in the Republican Party. I believe that for a long time. And you see that in this state. It's a great example because what happens is you have people that they're Democrats. They've been Democrats. They've got Democrat beliefs, views, maybe even left of Democrats, which would be hard to believe today, but because Democrats have moved pretty hard left. But they make the decision, yeah, I guess I need to become a Republican. I need to become a Republican because my views that I hold personally are not palatable to the general, public in South Dakota. Therefore, I'll become a Republican. And then you look at their voting records and there's nothing Republican about them. And even with Mike Cuther, who I respected and still do. I respect Mike Cuther, and I'm not trying to denigrate him, but you watch him. He was a Democrat, and when he wanted to run for statewide office, because he had his eye on running for statewide office, suddenly then he became was an independent that left the Democrat Party because knowing that a Democrat in this state just could never get elected. So becoming an independent, for what reason? To try to convince people, yeah, I'm not part of the, and yet he was very vocal. And I had conversations with him on the air as well as privately, where he was very vocal about things he believed in. And I respect that. What I don't respect is when people try to shield that from the public. I don't try to hide myself from you. I tell you who I am. I tell you where I stand. Very, very clear. I'm a Republican. I have been for quite a while. I have not always been. Grew up in a Democrat household. I've shared that story numerous times over the years, but I don't try to hide who I am, especially with you, those of you who listen, because, one of the things that you learn very early on in talk radio, I think, is that you have got to be true to who you are and what you believe. Because if I try to, and I had people early in my career they hated what I do. No, excuse me. I want to rephrase that. They hated the way I was doing it because they want more of take a middle of the road kind of approach and let me know what in seeking opinion, don't give your own bold opinion. And actually, it's bold opinion that inspires more opinion. Milquetoast opinion inspires nothing, silence. I mean, it's hard enough, especially right now, trying to get phone calls, and it's difficult. I think for a number of reasons. Venues like this and the comments that you guys are making here today. It's just tougher to get phone calls than it has been in previous years, and I sweat that a little bit because first person I look at is myself. I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. There's some reason that I am not eliciting more phone calls. That is on me. And then a while back here, I happened to hear the Mike Gallagher show, and Gallagher was talking about the number of phone calls that he sees, that his phone calls have dropped off tremendously. And he has, Mike Gallagher is on hundreds of stations. He's one of the most syndicated shows across the country, the Salem Radio Network. And I have been a longtime fan of Mike's. He's just, I will tell you, I've had personal conversations with him a couple of times over the years. I've interviewed him, gotten to know him. And I have tried to be the kind of person he is. Not like a clone of Mike Gallagher's, but authentic, that Mike Gallagher is an authentic guy, and he very much so. So when Mike Gallagher is saying, man, I'm having a really incredibly tough time getting phone calls. And I have wondered why that is. Is it just the prevalence of radio talk shows? Is it just the prevalence of media in general? Is it just that times have become so turbulent that a lot of people are not willing to speak up and be heard? I believe that's part of it. I think there are those people who just not comfortable saying what I think. They just don't want to talk about it. And it's always been the case that it's a very small number of people who will actually call into a radio talk show. I mean, I've been seeing those figures for years. It's a very small percent of people who will actually pick up the phone, call you, share their thoughts. It's difficult. And it's gotten more and more difficult. And I wonder if it's just because of all of the animosity that's out there. And it's one of the reasons why I really try. If I got somebody who's got an opposing point of view, I want to give them a chance to be able to say it on the air. I've got the platform every day. If there's something I want to say or something I think needs to be said, I'm going to, share it with you. And I hope you'll be there, tomorrow, the next day, so on. I hope you'll be there. But I have that platform. You don't. Not everybody does. And so I really try to be generous with callers if they have got a different point of view. Where I'm not so generous with callers is if they're just bringing up something, they're trying to hijack the show. That I don't take very kindly to, admittedly. I will tell you that, because that's when my blood pressure starts going up because I can feel it. I start feeling the blood in my face when when that happens, because, again, I touch on a variety of different subjects. May not be one particular day, a day that, may be foremost on your mind. We may be talking about other things, but chances are pretty good when you're that I'm going to be cycling back to some of these other issues, because I wind up talking about a lot of the same things. It's a new story highlighting an issue we've talked about dozens of times over the years, you know. So the I started out here talking about the reduction in phone calls. Mike Gallagher feeling it, and again, he's on hundreds of radio stations on the Salem radio network, syndicated across the country. So if he's feeling it, imagine how a small market guy like me feels. I'm on a growing number. I'm on KLOAM. We're on now. We've got an FM in the Sioux Falls Metro that you can hear us on. That's FM 105.1. I'm also simulcast on FM 107.9, originating from Flandreau. And so I'm on 3 stations. But again, it's a lot of people then in a small area. So imagine if Mike Gallagher can't get phone calls, how difficult it is for a show like mine that's got a much smaller audience base. The good news for me is that you guys are incredibly loyal. I mean, I am so touched by that. And I have said on the air, I got a really incredibly kind phone call yesterday from Dale. Dale, you absolutely just punched me right in the heart with your comments. He was talking about my show, and I had an off day yesterday. I will tell you, admittedly, it was an off day. Some days you just go in and it's just not happening. I mean, there were phone calls coming in, but being able to articulate thoughts sometimes, especially since the stroke, is a challenge for me. And some days it's worse than others. Other days I can get along okay and everything goes really well. And I come out of there and I feel like $1,000,000. I'm like, I don't know how we could have made that better. I try to improve every day. I always want today to be better than yesterday. So I want to be my own worst critic, that when I'm done for the day and I hang everything up and I'm done and I go home and I take a look back on the day, I want to be able to say, today was better than yesterday. And I want tomorrow to be better than today. That's been my goal for a long time. I've had that philosophy for years. I have thought that way. I think some of that comes from an old friend of mine. I mean an old, we have been friends for a long time. I've known him since high school. And he once said to me, he said, we were talking about being successful. And he was saying the only person that he had to prove anything to was himself. And that has always stuck with me. Mike Reynolds, he's not local, but he moved on to bigger and better things. He had pretty incredible guy. But that always stuck with me is, the only guy I have to prove anything to every day is myself. And I just want to do better than I did yesterday. I want to feel like, hey, I shared more information with you today than I did yesterday. We had great interaction with listeners, and I handled it better today than I did yesterday. As long as you're continually raising the bar for yourself, I think, I don't I'd hate to say success is going to follow. I don't know, but I certainly feel good about it, and it's been a good strategy for me, and I try to let that guide me every day, and I've been doing that for a long time. I wanted to see if any of you have. Sean said, "I've called in and had someone I know recognize my voice. I don't let that stop me." Good for you, Sean. Yeah, and you know what it happens to me is when I'm out in public and folks don't, "Wow, I've gone a long time today. I didn't realize we'd gone so long." This is what happens when you people get me wound up. The When I'm in a store, and I've shared this story on the air a few times, but folks don't know this face, and I get my hat on, I get my Batman hat in the corner there, got my Batman hat on. They don't necessarily recognize me. They hear me laugh, or they hear my laughter especially turns heads. I can see it when it happens. I'll be in a checkout lane, and Katie and I are talking, and I laugh, and I can see 2 aisles over, guy's head turns. Here's my laughter, and then I see them. They'll walk over, and they'll stand. They're waiting for me to check out and get done. They'll be standing there waiting, and I know what it is. It's a listener who's recognized me by the sound of my laugh or the sound of my voice, and they'll ask me, "Hey, are you Greg Belfrage?" I appreciate that. Don't ever be afraid to introduce yourself to me if you happen to see me or hear me someplace, because I am loud. In fact, I have my kindergarten report card. My kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Swearingen, who was a wonderful lady. A lovely woman. Ran into her a few years ago, had just a great conversation with her. And I kidded her at the time that she had written on my report card that I was boisterous. How boisterous I was. And I told her, "I'm sorry to say, Mrs. Swearingen, that hasn't changed." Okay, we have gone on nearly 45 minutes this morning. I want to ask you a favor like I do every day. Please like and subscribe. Very, very, very much appreciated. Lauren said, "You are making me feel bad for not calling in. I'll pick up the phone more now." I'm not trying to make you feel bad. Not trying to make you feel bad at all. It's the reality of what's going on in talk radio right now. The reality is a lot of people are just not comfortable getting their voices out there. And the thing is, on my show, we're talking about things that somebody might take offense, you know, because I know some people take offense at the things I say because I get their emails. And I will tell you my approach to those who email me like that, and they're just got a head full of steam, and they're not looking to have a conversation with me. They're ranting. Sorry. See ya. I don't see their emails. I just block them. Boom. Continue to do what I do. Because I don't want to become that, well, this guy yesterday, he tore into me over this, and I don't want to, you know. So I understand how you might feel. Because if you're on the air, you make a phone call, you're on the air, and just like Sean a few moments ago, I shared Sean's comment, people at work, the people that recognize your voice. They go, "Hey, I think that's," and maybe you don't want them to hear what you've got to say. I understand that. That's the beautiful thing about email. And I try to share emails when I'm on the show. You can always send me an email. greg.belfridge@kelo.com is my email address. greg.belfridge@kelo.com. Drop me an email. because I am looking. I carry my phone like everybody, carry it everywhere when I'm on the air. Um, I got my phone there. And one of the things I love about using, the camera um, in the studio every morning is versus because when I originally started doing the first hour of the Greg Belfrage show, and I was using my phone and I was putting it on my phone, using my phone as the camera. And thing I hated about that was not having access to my email. So then I was bringing in a it's not a laptop, but it's a smaller tablet tablet that I was bringing in to be able to access my email. It's just much easier on my phone. So don't be afraid to drop me an email because I do love hearing from you. I do love interacting with you, whether it's on the air, whether it's here. Um, I just appreciate all of you so much. But again, if you will do me the favor, if you know you've got like minded friends, let them know about what I'm doing. Shoot them a link and invite them to be a part of what's going on. I would just very much appreciate it. So I have kept you long enough for today. I'll let you move on with your day. See you again tomorrow. So long until then, my friend, and may God bless.